Well, welcome everybody. I want to welcome you back to Leadership Corner again. And we have an opportunity to come together to learn more about disciple making, about what that means for our lives and how we can grow more in that as a family at Gateway. I don't know about you, but I know that I can learn so much from other people instead of trying to do this alone. And that's why we're having these conversations. And so today, we've got Missy Pearson with us. So glad, Missy, that you're able to join. Thanks so
Hey,
much.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So Missy's here in particular today because I just love her heart of prayer. Now I know that there's many people who pray, and but I've been able to have some wonderful conversations with her, and particularly from a place of being a facilitator. And so, in case you don't know this, Missy facilitates one of our discipleship groups. Missy, she's my sister-in-law. If you didn't know that, and so we have it's just great conversations that we get to have specifically about our group, but also just about life. And so it's just been great to journey with you, Missy, and just to
Yeah,
hear
thank
some
you.
of the stuff that you've been doing has been phenomenal. And I know
Hmm.
that just as we've been talking about stuff that's been happening in your group and the way that you even approach the ladies that you disciple, I'm just blown away by what you do. And so one of the things that I've heard you talk about is prayer and how central that is to what you do with your ladies. Um,
Yeah.
so prayer for you. Why is that such an important piece in your mind?
Um, because that's where the power is. I think um from what I've learned is well actually I heard John Piper say in a video a long time ago that those of us who are Christians would be colossal fools not to engage in prayer because God has given it to us as a gift
Mm.
to be a part of what he's doing and to see him maximize things. And so I think I think the big thing for me I'm probably going to name drop a whole bunch of people because they're just so amazing, but Oswald Chambers is so great at saying, it'd be crazy to leave my place and not have my marching orders from
Mm.
God. Like he tells me what to do. I get to be a part of that. So I think I mean, there's about 80 million reasons why prayer is so important. Um, it brings me peace.
Mm.
Uh, it, I think it gives me a heart of compassion for the gals in my group that I wouldn't otherwise have. I would say it gives me hope that the Holy Spirit's working, that I don't need to put my pause on everything, that I can just pray it over and God's working.
Mm.
Um, I mean, it's humbling. It shows me that I am not Jesus and that I am not the one who's going to change somebody's life, but I can show people how to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, a variety of reasons, but I would say that I have come to the point now in the last 3 years, and it's more so recently in the last year and a half, where I just think it's completely futile to go into small group without
Mm.
having prayed over the time together over each individual lady that comes. So that I guess that would be what I'd say.
Yeah. Like you've come to a place that is futile. Like you come, like you
Oh, it's
realize it.
pointless. It's a waste of time. I have so many other things I could be doing. So could they.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's so wonderful because God maximizes everything
Mm.
from the littlest bit. He
Mm.
just takes it and just runs wild with it. And I don't want to miss that. I
Yeah.
want to be a part of it, and I don't want any of the ladies to miss it.
That's so.
So
Yeah. And so with your ladies, like you say, like you pray for them individually and specifically. Can you take us a little bit into what that looks like? And I asked that question in particularly one for our facilitators to be encouraged and challenged, but also for just because a person isn't a facilitator, doesn't have that role. We all have that calling to be disciple making, and so
mhm.
even if we aren't facilitating per se, we have the opportunity to invest in somebody's life. And so even just hearing, like, what does that look like for you to be praying specifically for ladies? Yeah, take us into that.
Yeah. Well, it's morphed and it continues to morph. I have not arrived, but I'm arriving. So, I would say that, so for like right now, there's 6 of us that meet, on Mondays. It varies who can come, obviously, but each one has shared at a different time, whether it's with the group or with me personally, things that they want to see happen, uh, or of struggles that are super deep that there's no way I can fix, but God can. And
Mhm.
so, I would say individually, I mean, every single day. There's been a couple, I'm not gonna lie, there's been a few days, right? Because I'm human, that I haven't done this. And I've totally noticed a difference, not only in my heart, but in in what they are allowing God to do in their hearts. And so I take each person individually. I try to do that every single day. And I really pray over them. If they're married, I pray over their marriages. If they are married to somebody who doesn't know Jesus, I pray that their spouse comes to know Jesus.
Mm,
If they're having issues with their children, I pray over their kids.
mhm,
Um, I pray for myself that
mm.
I am humble, that I allow God to speak to me,
Yep.
and change me. I pray over addictions
Mm,
that they may have. Maybe they've been sober for a while or whatever. I pray that that continues.
mm,
Uh, I pray against lies
mm.
from themselves, from Satan, from other people. I just pray against those things. So I don't know. I have some people that I just couldn't, and I don't want to throw them under the bus, so I'm not going to say exactly what the issue was, but definitely something that God is would not be happy with. And it's not because it's because he wants us to enjoy full life in him,
Right.
abundant life. And so, and I have to do this with myself, examine myself as well, but just, I pray over those things specifically. Lord, I pray that they aren't satisfied,
Mm,
or I pray that they wouldn't settle for anything less than your standard. I pray even if there's a situation where there's sinful interaction between people, I even pray over the person that is involved in that to somehow not be comfortable with it and say something. I don't know. Like I just pray whatever I can,
yeah.
for freedom for us. So uh and again, this is definitely something that's morphing, and but I get excited because I know God's changing my heart. And so and he's so gracious to let me see how he's working in these gals' lives. So
Mm.
I don't know. It's a way that I can indirectly be a part of what he's doing, and not do too much, not manipulate situations. So that's what yeah.
I just got out of a conversation with some of our disciple culture team. We were talking about how um, if disciple making is an add-on, if prayer is an add-on, if Bible reading is an add-on, if the spiritual life is an add-on, it just always feels like it's the first thing to go away, right? When times get tough. And so I'm wondering, how have you shaped your world to make this be a part of it? Because it doesn't seem like it just comes natural, at least not for many of us.
No, definitely not for me. So I guess the best way I can say, so practically speaking, it's so funny because yes, ungodly hours, gosh, I've just started thinking they're so godly. Like I don't know, it's not always great. Like it is hard, but it's not always hard. And the payoff is so much greater that I feel like it's when, say I don't know, trying to change my lifestyle and eat better or something. Well, I feel better when I
Mm,
do that. And so then I want to eat better. So I feel like this is like very similar to
mm,
that, where I want to, like, so another name drop, right? So um but Biddy Chambers, Oswald Chambers' wife, her daughter remembers her mom as saying, let's see what God does.
mm,
Like all the time. And I guess that's how I feel like if I don't want to miss anything. So I feel like when I engage in conversation with the Lord, I mean, it's so exciting and it changes my heart to want to engage even more. And I think, practically speaking, I'm not married, I don't have children. So, um, it's not better or worse, it's just different. And so, something that I will say is that, um, whether somebody thinks this is a good thing or a bad thing, I used to dread this thought, but, there's not time for a lot of other things. Um, and I think once I wrapped my mind around that and realized that, oh my gosh, the whole reason I'm here is to do this,
Mm.
um, I don't have time for certain things that I used to spend my time doing. And it's not a judgment, it's not anything on anybody else. It's just the fact that I think of in Hebrews 12, 1 through 3, it talks all about like just get rid of anything that hinders or the sin that so easily entangles and run with perseverance the race marked out. So um I guess I just feel like I don't want things to slow me down.
Yeah.
Like I had things slow me down for a long time in my life and I'm over that. I want to move. And so I guess I have no idea if I answered your question, but we're talking about something that I'm passionate about. So
Oh, you are preaching right now. So yeah,
it's
I'm
just
in
so
the
fun.
spot.
I don't know. Like I want everybody. It's not like I guess I just missed out for so long
Mm.
on this that it's so powerful. It's so exciting and it causes my heart to hurt in ways it didn't hurt before.
How does a person get started down this road? Because I mean, I hear for you, you're like in the spot where I mean, it just sounds like almost like you have this conversation with Jesus. Like it's like you hear him speaking back to you. You're experiencing him, and I think that that's something that we all long for. I know many times when I pray, it feels like okay, I'm doing my due diligence to pray, and it
Yeah.
might be hitting the ceiling, but I know at least I've done my part, and I'm trying to listen, but it is what it is, and sometimes that can be so discouraging that it feels like why even do it. And I
Right.
think that there's many of us that are in that spot of again, it just becomes one more thing, and so it sloughs off. What would you say? How would you say, once you get started into this realm of practicing prayer?
I remember probably, I don't know, 5 years ago even. It was like I had 0 problems doing my quiet time, reading my Bible, applying it to my life, all this kind of stuff. But it was like pulling teeth to get me to be quiet for 5 minutes. And praying was so difficult. Concentrating and stuff. Um, I would say, you know, every second that we can dedicate to learning the discipline of prayer is, like I said, maximized. God maximizes that, in His grace, especially for me, who's a doer. I'm not a prayer. That's what's so funny is that I want to get in and fix things and just do something, and God's like, down, sit down. And I just see him on my couch, like patting the seat, going, "What are you doing? Just sit down. I got so much."
Mm,
And so I think, um, in his grace, he has shown me that there's always more. And just like with finances, I can't outgive him. And there's
mm,
always more. He doesn't run out ever. So, I would say anything we can give him, he maximizes, and he's so cool because he shows how he's using that. He
mm.
actually puts the wind in my sail by saying, I know you gave me this time yesterday or whatever, but now I'm going to have this person that you prayed over send you a text and say, "Hey, I just really feel like whatever." I didn't do that. God did that. And he's showing me that every little bit counts.
Mm,
So, and then the irony of God is that he takes that tiny amount that I'm willing to give him,
Mhm.
and entices me and is like, "Oh, there's more. Do you
Mm,
want some more? Do you want more? Because I have more. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. I can give it to somebody else or whatever." And then I'm like, "No, I mean, I don't wanna miss it." So so that would be my thing, is just like, it's called a spiritual discipline for a reason. It is a discipline, just like me having to get out and exercise to maintain a certain body weight. Like, it's the same thing.
mhm,
Um, but it's eternal. The other thing too is that he changes my expectations in such an interesting way of, um, well, what I just shared about Biddy Chambers. Let's see what God does.
mm,
I expect him. I didn't expect him before. He's highly inconvenient. Oh my goodness. I mean, well, I had my agenda. I had my things, and before I know it, um my heart wants to be on board with what he's doing. And
mhm,
so I find me, who in and of myself is very inflexible and very rigid and very black and white, God takes that and morphs it.
mhm,
And um, so I leave feeling, I leave feeling assured, just like in John 11 with Lazarus, when Jesus prays in front of everybody there and just says, "Father, I know you know this, but I'm praying for everybody else's benefit."
yeah,
So I already know God knows
mhm,
what I need, what everybody else needs. But for the benefit of knowing that he somehow thinks I can be used for him, like, the whole thing's mind blowing
yeah,
to me. So he changes my expectations as far as I'm looking for him
yeah,
all the
uh,
time. Like, he's there. And so then I don't always take every opportunity. Gosh, I sure wish I did. And but I no longer leave here on my agenda, or if I do, that changes really quick. Yeah. So,
that is good. Resource-wise, is there something that you would recommend if I wanted to kinda dive a little bit deeper in thinking about prayer, thinking about a life of prayer, praying for others, whatever it might be? Was there a resource that you would recommend?
well, I mean, the Bible's great.
Mhm,
Um, Lots of different stories in the Bible.
mm,
Um, I mean, you and I have chatted about the Heavenly Man. Yes, that's huge.
mhm,
There is a book called The Heavenly Man,
mhm,
and that really paints a good picture of engaging in prayer, and fasting. And then the Perspectives course on the worldwide Christian movement.
mhm,
Gateway offered it last year. It's now obviously COVID sensitive, so who knows what's going on with that. But that's an amazing course, that really revolutionized my heart and mind about prayer too.
okay,
Going into these places where there's absolutely no idea
yeah,
of God, and these things that we actually in Western culture have the luxury
mhm,
of understanding. Whether or not we practice them is another thing, but they were at one time
yeah,
something that we did. And anyways, and just to see that God moves where there has been no reference to him for
yeah,
centuries. So I would say those three things: the Bible, the Heavenly Man, and Perspectives.
okay,
Yeah, those three things.
those would be it, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, well, I'll put a link to the Heavenly Man in the notes, and if I can somehow cobble something together from Dave about like how to get connected to the next perspectives class, if we know when it is, I'll put
Yeah.
that there as well because I think that sounds like that's been impacting for you and
Yeah.
recommend for others.
Yeah.
Missy, it's been a pleasure.
Oh, well, thanks. I hopefully I didn't talk too much.
You're so welcome. You've done great. So thank you so
Well,
much
thank
for
you.
sharing. And I want to say those of you tuning in today, I want to say thanks so much for being a part of the conversation. I encourage you to take advantage of those resources. And let's each one of us continue to make it a point in our lives to be people of prayer, not just for ourselves, but for the people that God has placed around us, before us, and see what He does as we just anticipate, as Missy said,
Mhm.
what God wants to do. I love it.
Mhm.
Thanks so much for joining in, and we'll see you next time.